Xingqiu. He's one of the best 4-star units in the game. He's an incredible sub DPS and he can fit in more or less any team you can think of. Yelan, on the other hand, is basically the 5-star version of Xingqiu with a very similar kit with a slightly different E, obviously. But the ults are essentially the same and they more or less do the same job as a very strong Hydro sub DPS. Now the question is, if you have Xingqiu, do you also need Yelan? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. You can have both Xingqiu and Yelan. The way I look at Xingqiu and Yelan together is that apart, they work exceptionally well. But together, they also work exceptionally well. They essentially double their DPS output in exchange for, taking up 2 character slots. Obviously, Xingqiu's ult is basically a slightly slower version of Yelan. Yelan's ult does considerably more damage, which is understandable as she is a 5-star. But you would think you would only need one of them. That is not technically correct. You can use both of them and the power output from them is absolutely exceptional. And for the longest time, that is what I did. I would solely use Yelan and Xingqiu always paired together because they just do so much damage output. Now, if you've got Xingqiu and you're thinking, I really don't want what is essentially a second version of him, first of all, that's insane, but fair enough. I respect your decision. But Yelan's Q is literally just Xingqiu's, but stronger. So the fact that you can now double it up and basically have 2 copies of Xingqiu working overtime is absolutely exceptional. Not to mention the fact that Hydro is such a great element for reactions anyway. Comparing it with whatever you want to do is fantastic. For instance, you could shove in an Ayaka, and now you have a freeze team. Because obviously Ayaka constantly has Cryo Infusion applied onto a sword. These two, their ults last about 15 seconds, I could be wrong there. And you're just going to freeze everything that can be frozen. If you want a taser comp, shove in Beidou, shove in Fischl. If you don't fancy taser, shove in Duanimo if you fancy. You can never have too much fun with Swirl. Have fun with Hazo. I've been having a ton of fun with Hazo recently, by the way. His Swirl, so satisfying. Their ults also kind of work with Sino, which is really surprising because you don't really hear much about Sino because he kind of just fell off after release, which is a massive shame, but it is what it is. But yeah, even Sino, who is on field for a very long time with his ult, can make good use of their ults, which is hard to come by. Who else we got? Make yourself a Dendro team.
I'll take good care of everyone.
Shove on a Nahida. Grab your favorite Electro unit, and then boom. You've got Hyper Bloom thrown into the mix as well. And then, of course, we have the classic combo of a Vape team in the form of Hu Tao. Most people might already be aware of this, but Hu Tao's charge attacks coincide with Xingqiu's ult incredibly well. They are timed very well together, and it makes for a very easy Vaporize team. Now, imagine that, but you've got Yelan there as well, also applying Hydro, so you have even more Hydro to enjoy your day with. So let's have a little look, shall we? And have a little test and see how it pans out. So, I'm sure you know where we are. I'll be honest, I've never actually used him as a training dummy. I wish the game would just add a regular training dummy for us to test on, but Masanori more or less does the trick. So, simply, okay, so all we gotta do, Xingqiu ult, Hu Tao, and then you've got constant vaporizers, right? And now, we Yelan ult. Right, and then we just Yelan ult, Xingqiu ult, Hu Tao E. I don't have C1 Hu Tao, so I have to do the jump trick to cancel because I'm far too used to just dash cancelling, which you can't do on C0 Hu Tao. But yeah, essentially, it's just more of what you want with damage. So, simply put, if you've already got Xingqiu and you're worried that Yelan is not going to do enough to replace Xingqiu, first of all, Yelan's damage output, I believe, is higher than Xingqiu. Even at C0. My Yelan is at C0, my Xingqiu is at C6. C6, C0. I absolutely adore Yelan and her playstyle. If I'm picking between Xingqiu and Yelan, I pick Yelan every single time. But if I want both of them, oh boy, it is just constant machine gun fire of Hydro DPS damage numbers. They are a wonderful combination. So if you're worried that that Yelan will overshadow Xingqiu, she doesn't. If you prefer Yelan over Xingqiu, that's not a problem. But if you love them both just as much as I do, you can fit them in their own two-man comp as much as you want, and then fit two other team members around them. They work just as well separately as they do together. So if you're on the fence about whether you should bother with Yelan, give it a think. If you're worried that Yelan will just be another copy of Xingqiu, you might be surprised. So once again, to answer the question, if you've already got C6 Xingqiu, is it even worth it grabbing Yelan? In my personal opinion, yes. 110%. She's a great character, great kit, great DPS options. Paired with Xingqiu, she's just as strong. Hopefully that's made the decision a little bit easier on some people. Obviously, if you're going for Hu Tao, this point is completely moot, but that's not the point. This is purely for people that already have a fully built Xingqiu and they're worried that Yelan is just going to be more of the same and won't get as much use. Thankfully, I'm here to say that is not the case, because Yelan does her own thing incredibly well, and she also does it incredibly well alongside Xingqiu's. So, there we are. But anyway, that is it for now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of Yelan and Xingqiu. Would you bother with Yelan if you've already got C6 Xingqiu or not? Let me know. I'm intrigued to see other people's opinions on the matter. For now, though, I must say my goodbyes, and until next time, I've been James, the Mayor of Jamestown. Goodbye.